Welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to News Stories every day. My name is Daniel Hardy, and up until recently, I considered my life to be pretty traditional and drama-free. I worked in Baltimore as an insurance underwriter, steady job, stable routines. My wife, Marissa, was a freelance graphic designer, often working from home or taking on small local projects. Everyone who met us considered us a decent, responsible couple with a quiet, comfortable home. We had one child, Oliver, 4 years old, our pride and joy. I'd go so far as to say we were the kind of family other neighbors looked at and thought, they have it all sorted out. How wrong they were, how wrong I was. In hindsight, maybe I was too trusting and too accommodating. If Marissa asked for something, I'd bend over backward to provide it. She hated house chores, so I took them on. She disliked cooking, so I learned how. She wanted a second car, though we were tight on finances. I found a way to lease one. Perhaps my devotion was too easy to exploit, leaving her feeling that she could do whatever she liked. One Friday afternoon, I left work early because Oliver's daycare called saying he had a slight fever. After picking him up, I dropped him at my sister's for a few hours so I could run home and grab some medicine and pajamas. Normally, I'd call Marissa to let her know my plans, but I assumed she was out meeting a client, so I didn't bother. I just rushed home, wanting to handle everything smoothly. The minute I walked up to our front door, I felt something off. The curtains were half drawn. Marissa's car was in the driveway, and there was an unfamiliar black seat and parked beside it. My heart picked up pace. I wondered who might be visiting. A client. A friend. I unlocked the door and stepped in. Complete silence, but the house smelled faintly of cologne I didn't recognize. I called out, "Marissa, you home?" No response. My pulse hammered. Without thinking, I climbed the stairs to our bedroom. The door is ajar, so I pushed it softly and froze. In my bed, intimately tangled in the sheets, was Marissa and some man I'd never seen. They both jerked upright, eyes wide with shock. He was half naked, wearing just boxers, and she had the covers pulled up to her chest. For a split second, time seemed to stop, and all I could do was stare, my mind refusing to believe what I was seeing. But there was no misinterpreting this. Me? Voice shaking. "Marissa, what the hell is going on?" She gasped, grabbing the blanket around her. The man scrambled to cover himself, stammering something inaudible. My stomach twisted with betrayal, heartbreak, and raw fury all at once. Marissa, in a panicky hush. Daniel, I can explain. I thought you'd be at work." "Me? Explain what?" "That you're screwing another guy in our bed while our child is at daycare." He tried to grab his pants from the floor, but I lunged across the room and seized them first, adrenaline coursing through me. "You're not dressing in my house," I snapped, voice trembling with rage. My mind went blank in that moment. All I wanted was to get this man, her lover, away from me, away from everything that was mine. I yanked the covers off the bed, leaving him basically in just underwear and a t-shirt. He yelped as I grabbed him by the arm, marched him down the stairs. My wife stumbled after us, wailing, "Daniel, please calm down." But I was beyond calm. I flung open the front door and literally shoved him out onto the lawn. He staggered, cursing, stumbling in his boxers on full display. Neighbors might have witnessed it. Frankly, I didn't care. As he scrambled to his black sedan, I noticed how brand new it looked. My fury soared. He dared to park here, to do this in my home. He fumbled for his car keys, presumably trying to unlock the doors. I was shaking with anger, mind swirling with images of him and my wife in bed. Without thinking, I snatched a heavy decorative rock from our garden border. Before he could start the engine, I slammed the rock against his windshield. Glass cracked with a satisfying crash. The lover, yelling, "Are you crazy, man? Stop!" But I pounded the hood, leaving dents. I heard Marissa screaming behind me, "Daniel, stop it." But I was deaf to her pleas. The man cowered in the driver's seat, powerless to stop me from inflicting damage. After what felt like an eternity, likely just seconds, I dropped the rock, chest heaving. Only then did I realize how out of control I'd been. I turned to see Marissa standing on the porch, tears streaming, hands over her mouth in horror. Me, voice raw. "You made me into this. Why, Marissa? Why did you do it?" No reply. The man sped away in his battered car, the windshield half shattered, leaving a trail of glass in our driveway. Silence loomed except for Marissa's ragged sobs. Inside the house, I sank onto the living room couch, trembling. Marissa approached me, red-eyed, wearing a hastily thrown robe. Marissa, Daniel, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to find out like this. I made a mistake. I cut her off with an icy glare. A mistake. That was no mistake. That was a choice over and over. My voice broke, thinking about her betrayal. I wondered how long it had been happening. She started explaining, words tumbling out. I felt unappreciated. You're so nice, but I felt stifled. Like he never took my feelings seriously. He was exciting. He gave me attention. Me, voice rising. Don't you blame me for your affair. I gave you everything. I let you walk all over me, and this is how you repay me. She wept, but I felt zero sympathy. I do love you, Daniel, I swear. It got out of hand. Me? Stop. I can't bear to hear it. Pack your things, or I will. This marriage is done. I realized Oliver was still with my sister, which was a small mercy. Marissa's sobs intensified. Please don't do this. Think about Oliver. We have a family. Me? Bitter laugh. A family you just betrayed in our own home where our son sleeps. Did you even think of him while hooking up with that scumbag? She had no answer, just more tears, but I was decided. Get out, I told her, or I'll leave. Either way, we're through. Over the next few days, word spread among neighbors about the spectacle I'd caused smashing the guy's car. I admit it was a loss of control, but I couldn't muster regret at that moment. My wife had humiliated me, our child, everything I stood for. My illusions were shattered. Marissa alternated between tearful apologies and half-hearted defenses, saying she felt overshadowed, that I was too nice, ironically leaving her craving something else, but I refused to budge. After a tense week of us ignoring each other under the same roof, I told her I'm filing for divorce. I don't see a point in therapy or anything else. She pleaded once more. We can fix it. You're the father of my child. I was just lost. Don't throw everything away. Me, voice trembling but firm. No, you threw it away the second you let him into our home, into my bed. And then I destroyed his car because I lost it. I'm done being the man you walk all over. She cried, but I'd turned numb. The next day, I visited a lawyer, started the paperwork. We arranged the basics for Oliver. She'd keep the house temporarily, but we'd share custody. I felt the heartbreak mostly for Oliver, who was only 4, clueless to the real reasons behind this meltdown. I explained as gently as I could that Mommy and Daddy had big problems and needed to live apart. Once the divorce was in motion, I realized I couldn't stay in that house. Everywhere I looked, I saw the memory of her betrayal. So I found a job transfer possibility in Atlanta, a chance for me to start fresh. I took it. Oliver would split time between me and Marissa, though it'd be complicated. I hated the distance from my son, but I couldn't remain in that neighborhood where everyone whispered about my meltdown. I told Marissa a final goodbye the day the moving truck arrived. She stood on the porch, tears in her eyes, as I loaded the last box. Daniel, she said softly, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to break you like this. Me? Well, you did. I paused, swallowing the lump in my throat. I wish you hadn't. I wish I never found out that way. But I'll move on. Just don't lie to Oliver about what happened. She nodded, tears streaming, but no more words. I got in my car and drove off, finalizing that chapter. Now, months later, I'm settled in Atlanta, renting a small townhouse. Oliver visits me during breaks and occasional weekends. If we can manage flights or long drives, it's not ideal, but at least I'm not trapped in that house of betrayal. I still can't erase the memory of walking in and seeing that man, her lover, lying in my sheets. I sometimes wonder where he is now, if he's still sporting bruises from my punches, or if he regrets humiliating me. Probably not. But it doesn't matter. My focus is on healing, raising my son, and rebuilding a life on my own terms. The divorce, as predicted, was loud and messy, with neighbors gossiping about the meltdown and the car smashing. Some judged me for the violence, others sympathized, but I stand by my reaction. It might not have been rational, but heartbreak seldom is, and I've accepted the consequences, both legal fees and emotional toll. As for Marissa, I hear through mutual acquaintances that she's trying to piece her life back together. Maybe she's with that guy, maybe not. My concern is only for Oliver's well-being. She's no longer my problem, no longer a woman I can or want to protect. This is how it ends. A once respectable wife turned cheater Me discovering them in bed, me snapping and throwing him out, smashing his car, and concluding that the illusions of a happy marriage were built on my endless kindness that she took for granted. My illusions died that day I found them, and ironically, that's the day I started living for myself, no longer for a woman who betrayed me in our own bedroom. The moral: if you let someone walk all over you, they might eventually do worse than you can imagine. So here I stand, forging a new path, single father with partial custody, living far from the ghosts of that house. And though heartbreak is deep, I'm free from deceit, and that I've learned is worth the painful price of starting over.